available to you through manipulation, through advertising, through marketing, through peer pressure, and through abuse. Bottom line is, we are neurocircuitry. We are this incredible cell brain filled with these beautiful, beautiful cells. So how does it work? So stimulation streams in through our sensory systems. It integrates and organizes as it passes up the spinal cord, and it aims for the outer portion of our brain, the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is divided into two different groups of cells. Our outer layers for higher cognitive thinking, and our inner layers for emotion. So information streams in through our sensory systems, and it aims directly for the inner group of cells of our limbic system. And the cells in the limbic system are asking the question moment by moment, am I safe? Am I safe? I feel safe when enough of the information streaming in through the sensory systems feels familiar. When the world feels familiar, my amygdala is calm and I feel safe. Now the interesting thing is that as information comes in and it stimulates my limbic system then sends that information throughout my nervous system, including my higher cortex. So what this means is that although many of us may think of ourselves as thinking creatures who feel, biologically we really are feeling creatures who think. We are feeling creatures who think. And this becomes significant in the way we live in the external world. So information streams in, it goes straight to the amygdala. The amygdala says how much feels familiar. If it feels familiar, then I feel calm. When I feel calm, the cells right next to that, the hippocampus, they turn on and they are capable of learning and memory. But let's say all of a sudden the building should start to shake. Building starts to shake, your amygdala goes unfamiliar, alert, alert, self-preservation, you bolt out the door, you shut down the hippocampus, and you don't care what I have to say anymore. Right? A great example about the relationship between the amygdala and the hippocampus is test anxiety. We all know what it feels like to have that knot inside of our belly and then our throats get tight and our brains feel like they're going to explode because everything's moving a million miles an hour and we're on alert, alert, panic, panic, anxiety, anxiety, oh my gosh. But the secret here is that I have higher cortical thinking. I have the ability to consciously choose, okay, I have other circuits I can run, I can turn on my higher cortical mind, I can bring my mind to the present moment, I can look around, take new pictures, I can see I am safe. I'm safe and I'm not going to die, it is just an exam and I've prepared for this, and I know some of these answers now. If my amygdala would just calm enough so that I can access that information in my hippocampus, then I can answer the questions. So this is what's going. Everything that has anything to do with anything is our relationship between the amygdala and the hippocampus. Now this is really important news. Big news, big news. We didn't know this. My generation and generations before me, we did not know about the 90-second rule, and we did not understand the neurocircuitry of the brain. So all you have to do is open up the newspaper and you will see someone has killed someone because someone's amygdala was on alert. Right? Somebody's divorcing somebody because somebody did not feel safe. Everything has something to do with the amygdala, and I think we should all wear shirts that say, I love my amygdala. I love my amygdala. All right, what's going on with the teenage brain? How many of you have had a parent or adult say something like this to you in the last few years? I just don't recognize you anymore. What happened to my little angel? How many of you have had that? Yeah, there's a biological reason for that. How many of you have had a parent or adult say something like, I just don't understand, you used to love to do this all the time and I bought you all these supplies and you just don't play with this stuff in over a year, I don't get it, what's going on? There's a biological reason for that. How many of you have had a parent or adult say something to you like, you know, I'm just really not very comfortable with your new friends? Yeah, there's a reason for that. We are biology. So what's going on? When we are born with twice as many neurons as we're ever going to use. Isn't that nice? We are born with an abundance of cells. And then in the next 2 to 3 years, the neurons that are stimulated will connect with other neurons in neurocircuitry, and the cells that are not stimulated, they will die away. And then, for the next couple of years, 10 years or so, I'm pretty much about me, right? It's all about me, little Jill. And I got this new body, and I'm trying to figure out how to get the body to work. And eventually it's going to hop, skip, and jump. And then I'm going to learn about communication. And I'm going to learn how to pick a voice out from background sound, and how to make sound, and how to place meaning on sound. And then I'm going to get socialized with little people my size, and then my siblings, and then the adult world. But it's pretty much all about me, right? And then you're going to put me in school. And then in school, I'm going to learn more about communication. I'm going to learn about spelling and reading and writing. And then I'm going to learn about mathematics and abstract thinking. And if I'm lucky, I'm going to get exposed to music and the arts and technology and all kinds of interesting things that will stimulate me. But ultimately, it's all about me. Well, somehow, our one obligation to our species as a biological creature is reproduction. So somehow, we have to get ourselves out of the we, me, into the, ooh, aren't you cute? Right? So in order to do that, during the pre-puberty years, the brain goes through what we call an exuberance of the dendritic connections inside of our brain. And these little people, if you know them, a couple of years right before puberty hits, they're like really, really smart. They're like little sponges for information, and they're curious about everything, and they want to know, and they want to know how, and they want to know why, and they just want to understand it all, and then their bodies are prepared for puberty. And then puberty comes. And with puberty comes several major shifts. One of the first ones is we're going to go through a major physical growth spurt, right? And when we go through a major physical growth spurt, our entire body changes, right? And it changes, and it's not as agile. So our amygdala are on a little bit of alert. Very interesting, but it's a little bit of alert. What's going on? And then on top of that, then we're going to have our hormonal systems are going to start flowing through our body. And with that are going to come all kinds of mood swings and all kinds of interesting behaviors. And then on top of that, there's going to be what we call a pruning back. A pruning back of 50% of the synaptic connections inside of our brain. We literally lose half our minds. We literally lose half our minds. How does that feel? Unfamiliar. I used to know all this stuff. It isn't there anymore. I used to be interested in these things. That doesn't do that. I used to look like something, and I used to want to hang out with them, and now I'm hanging out with this. And then on top of it, oh my gosh, unfamiliar. We're going to grow testosterone receptors on our amygdala. And when that comes, aggression, I feel a little aggressive. There are biological reasons for the teenage years. Biology underlies everything you're feeling, everything you're thinking, and everything you are experiencing. The last portion of the brain to come totally online is the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is responsible for things including our ability to plan ahead. It's our impulse control. It's our ability to understand the consequences of our behavior. And it's the appropriate of our behavior. So when our parents are looking at us, and we're bigger than they are, and they don't, it's all unfamiliar for everyone in the house, right? What's going on? I haven't reattached my prefrontal cortex yet. There's a biological reason. Now the beauty, the wonderful thing about the teenage years is you have literally lost half your mind. Which half have you kept? You kept the half that you're going to use. You're going to walk, you're going to talk, you're going to socialize, you're going to do these things. My best advice to any teenager is whatever you're good at when you're young, that you want to do in your 20s, 40s, and 80s, do it throughout your teenage years. The teenage years is the time for you to tend the garden of your mind. It's your opportunity for you to pick and choose who and how you want to be when you get older. We technically become biological adults at the age of 25. It's when the long bones in our body stop growing long. We are adults, development is over, and the brain is now established. My advice to all parents is keep them alive to 25. Keep your kids alive till they're 25. And to all of you teenagers, keep them alive till 25. Nurture the beautiful cells inside of your brain until you're 25, and then you'll have this gorgeous adult brain that you get to figure out what you want to do with later. So bottom line here is we are feeling creatures who think. We are feeling creatures who think. living in a left-brain dominant society where we value what we think over what we feel, and where we reward people for what we do rather than for who we are. We care about the me rather than the we. We focus on personal gain rather than community. We care about profits rather than people. We strive for authority rather than equality. We seek differences rather than similarities. We are competitive rather than compassionate. We are judgmental rather than forgiving. We are very left brain versus right brain. But we know that we have a choice. Our left brain dominant society is using up our natural sources, and we are heating up the planet. We are in the middle of a major global crisis. On top of this, our left brain dominant society is eroding our self-value, and we are in pain because the world does not care about what we feel and who we are. It cares about what we do and what we think, which is not the basis of our biology. We are in the middle of a major mental health crisis where at least 25% of the people in the States are suffering from some type of serious mental illness, and then you throw on top of that a whole bunch of people who have addiction. We are in pain, and so what do? We mask our pain with all kinds of things that we can get addicted to, and it's just not very healthy for these gorgeous cells inside of our brain. The teenage brain is at the most vulnerable time of our existence because it is this time for planting the seeds and planting who and how you want to be in the world. When I experienced my stroke and I lost my left brain, and I shifted into the consciousness of my right mind where I felt peace and euphoria, what gave me the courage to come back was that I pictured a world that was filled with beautiful, peaceful, compassionate, loving people. I pictured a world filled with people who knew that they could pick and choose who and how they want to be in the world. You are that population. You are those people. You have the ability to pick and choose who and how you want to be in the world. I believe that those of you who are willing to create a conscious relationship with your brain, you will be the leaders who will help guide humanity back toward mental health, and you will be the game changers who help bring our planet back to balance. This is your brain. This is your brain. This is your instrument. This is your tool. And this is your power. What are you doing with your power?
What are your learning points from this video? What did you learn?
The youth is mind is the most vulnerable, like that's.
Yes, like the youth state, because of their mind nature, the growing, the developmental aspects that they're going through, they are in the most vulnerable stage in their life. Absolutely, yes. What else? Yes.
It's most important to spend time with them in their teenage years, because that's going to decide the rest of their lives, their growth, in terms of relationship with God and their personality and things like that.
Yes, absolutely. Like the time that we invest with them, anything that we invest with them, that we encourage them to act, to practice, to do, is something that is going to be useful for them on the long run. Maybe they're not going to value it at the moment sometimes, but the more we help them explore, keep on exploring different aspects of their abilities, this helps their brain to develop in a way that's going to helpful for them in the future. Very good, very good. What else?
I like the word that she said, plants the seed. It was a nice word, because when we plant the seed, what are their views, everything at that moment, when they get older, that's what the track they will be going on.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you. Yep.
Also give them room when they're angry or aggressive. We need to understand and give them room to, they need to let it go and maybe also like listen and understand, besides giving them the space.
Yeah, so to have a mindset or an ability to understand that they are experiencing some kind of intense feelings, and maybe their ability to do the connection between the amygdala and the hippocampus is not really not really there or not strong yet. So they would be more acting based on their emotions and feelings as opposed to their way of thinking. Very good. Yes.
As humans, we feel first and then we think. So when we have a teenager who is raging or just like what you said, it's important to hinder our thoughts and build rapport with them based on our feelings.
Yeah. So if they're going through an intense feeling experience, how much of their brain capacity is going to be functioning? Little or big? Very little. Yes. When we are angry, like think about ourselves. When we are angry, what do we tend? How much of our brain faculty are we able to use? Not much. Very little. And it becomes even more sensitive and critical for teenagers. Like their ability to use their brain when they are experiencing intense emotions is really kind of diminished or lower. Yes.
So I like the fact that we have the power, because we can control our brain or how we kind of do it. Because sometimes we, even for you, for ourselves, we usually say that this person made me angry, this situation made me angry. We always blame externally, but if we know that we can have or we have the power to change our way of thinking and how we feel, then that makes all the difference.
Yeah. Good. I like keep them alive until 25. Why keep them alive until 25?
They will be adults.
Pardon me?
They will be adults.
That's one thing. And so what's special about 25? Yes.
I think they're less vulnerable. We're all vulnerable human beings, but I think they've developed themselves.
Yes. This is biologically when the age of kind of full development of the body and the brain. So the brain is still developing until the age of 25. So keep them alive, meaning be patient with them and with what they're going through, because after they reach the 25, probably they're gonna make more and better sense with what's happening around them. So this was important to understand the youth various developmental aspects that we went through in previous sessions and these sessions. Understand youth needs versus the right thing youth have to think or to do. This is what we're trying to maybe hammer and stress, how to really understand them as opposed to tell them what they need to do, what they need not to do. Biological brain development impacts cognitive and moral development. This is the video that we have seen. Youth brain is still developing until mid-20s, the age of 25. Have you ever wondered why teenagers fluctuate easily in moods? I think we understand now why. We are feeling creatures who think. It does not mean that we do not think, but maybe feeling is activated first, and then because if we feel it safe, we can continue to think. If we feel it's not safe, the most important thing to do is to seek safety. I want to be safe, and then we worry about thinking. So biologically, cognitive develops after the emotional component. So the ability to develop cognitive abilities comes after the emotional ability. What does this mean? Why is this piece important for us? That the cognitive abilities develop after the emotional abilities. Why is this piece important for us dealing with youth? Yes.
That would relate to the point that they'd be emotionally driven at first before they'd be able to use their judgment, or that their judgment would be developed in a way that would be able to either control or inhibit some of those emotions that they are acting upon.
Yes. Absolutely. And what is their capacity to express and make sense of their feelings? Is it high or still developing? It's still developing. So while they have intense emotion experiences, but their ability to express, to socially interact in a smart way, in a way with adults, with other people, based on, like, to express their emotions is not fully functional or developed yet. So they are still developing in this area. So sometimes they are not able to express fully what they are feeling or what they are going through, because the ability to make sense, the cognitive ability to make sense and to express it is not fully there yet. Of course, there are variations, of course, like as we learned from the first session, variations do exist. It is important also that this helps us that each encounter is an experience that impacts and shapes the brain, especially in the teenage. So every encounter, every experience, every time we deal with the teenage people, it registers or it helps them to shape their brain. You remember, like the first part about how whatever they are using from the brain really registers in them. Even as adults, every time we attend a lecture, we attend a session, we deal with people, we register something new. And this is why people who have gone through abuse, it registers in their body, it registers in them, and it impacts them. And any hint of the previous abuse creates a trigger. And whenever they are triggered, whenever this is triggered, it becomes not safe. So every experience, if it is perceived as an experience of kindness or compassion, then they would feel safe. But if their experience is judging them, how much safe is this for them? Not safe. If someone is criticizing them, how much safe? It is not. This is not safe. So every time I judge them, I criticize them, I trigger them somehow, this is an unsafe experience for them that registers with them, and they feel, oh, this person is not safe. This setting, this surrounding is not safe. If every time they come to Sunday school, to church, they feel it's not safe, so they're going to grow up learning that church is not safe, that servants are not safe. But if every time they come, they experience that this is kind of a safe zone, it's a time or it's a space where they can really express their feelings, they express their thoughts, even if it does not make sense, but we interact with it in a gentle, in a kind way. And this shows how we respond to them when they make mistakes. So if they make mistakes, and instead of telling them, beep, this is wrong, you are wrong, be quiet, what am I doing? I'm shutting them down. As opposed, yes and, okay, yes and. So the more that we are able to really take what they say and give them an opportunity to work, this helps them to feel more safe. And it becomes an encounter of safety for them. Let's jump into foundation skills. I believe Abuna Bshoy talked with you about a counseling model last time, right? So I want to talk to you about counseling model. So using the counseling model, having this as a blueprint or as an outline for us, there are several skills that we need to use while we are going through this model. These are foundations. Of course, it goes without saying, though that we are developing skills, it does not mean that we are just depending on ourselves. But we're trying to create a good balance between asking God for help. Prayer, this does not cancel prayer. When I develop my skills, I'm not canceling the presence of God and prayer and praying with the teenagers, with the youth. But also, I am developing myself as a human assistant, as someone who is a youth helper, a youth servant, to be able to really interact with them. And we can see this very clearly even in the time of the apostles. At the time of the apostles, at the beginning of the church, what happened? Yes, there were people getting together and praying. And not just praying. They also said, whoever has need of something, we collectively would get together and help one another. And that's why all the people started to sell their possessions and bring it at the feet of the disciples, so that whoever has plenty are able to put this together in one pool and save those who are in need for more assistance. Do you know Maslow triangle? Who's familiar with it? Okay. You know that it has changed? You know that it has developed? You don't know that it has developed? Let me show you the new one. This is the new one. What is the base? Wi-Fi. So for teens, they cannot live without. This has become even more important than their physical need. Like maybe you don't give them food, you don't give them drink, but they do need what? They do need the password for the Wi-Fi. Exactly. So we have to understand how they function. So every encounter with them needs to be a transformative encounter. It's between me and them. Transformative for both parties, sender and receiver. So every time I deal with youth, I need to be always learning. Like those who go to the premarital retreat, what do they learn? What did you learn over the weekend from the premarital retreat? To have? Yes? Learner's permit. Yes. Learner's permit, meaning it's a permit that I'm continuously learning. I'm learning about something. So it doesn't mean that I know everything. No, I'm still learning about youth. I'm learning how to interact with the youth. So it's not that it's transformative for them, but also for me as a youth helper. So it is a communication that begins with seeing one another as created after God's own image and likeness. It is a communication, so that it is transformative. It needs to begin, I'm seeing them as God's children, created after His own image and likeness. It is a communication that seeks to connect deeply, meaning I need to understand. I'm not connecting, I'm not dealing with them, I'm not just a helper. No, I want to understand what they are going through. So I'm here not just because I am an expert, but I really want to learn from their experience, so that I understand their experience, so that I'm able to really learn, interact, and share some of the concepts or some of the advices. It's a communication that sits with rather than sits above. So I'm not the expert. Not because I'm a youth helper, I know more than you. If I approach them in this way, what is in their mind? In their mind that they actually know more than me. And to some extent, they are right. They have a certain experience. Each youth has a unique experience. So I am here, if I'm communicating with youth, I'm learning their own experience. So it's a communication also that challenges in love towards spiritual maturity. Sometimes we need to challenge them. Is it true? Do you think it works this way? Let's think about it together. So instead of telling them, nope, you're wrong, it does not work this way, we can really challenge them by asking, let's think about it together. Do you think it really functions this way? Are there any times when things work in a different way or were done for a different reason? So it is, I'm communicating with them in a pleasant way, yes, confrontative or challenging to them, but in a decent way that helps them to interact and communicate with me. It's a communication that demonstrates the presence and power of the Word of God to bring hope and glory to God. I have to have focus as God is present. When we are talking, when we are communicating, God is present. God is present. And whatever is useful, I would make use of it from the Word, or from the Scripture, or the Word of God. The goal of our communication with them is an encounter with God. So I am in an encounter with God. God's creation, they are God's children, God's people, so I am in an encounter with God. The first skill we are going to talk about is attending. This is probably what all of you are doing right now, right? What are you doing right now? You're attending physically and hopefully mentally. And how does this show? eye contact, right? You're looking at me, you're focused, you're trying to really put attention. It is paying attention to what other person is saying. It's actively being present with the other person. What are the aspects of attending? Verbal and tone of voice and body language. And they found that verbal is the least important. Not the least important, the least weight in terms of communication. And maybe this would trigger the feeling, if my tone is very high, that is annoying or threatening, so this takes the focus. If my tone is so high, threatening and aggressive, that's gonna, even the 7% is gonna be even zero. They're gonna get nothing, right? If I'm talking to you in a very boring, monotonous way, what's gonna happen after maybe 5 minutes? All of you are going to sleep, and I'll be talking to myself, and hopefully this is not what I would like to happen. Body language. How is my body with the people that I am talking to? My face, my facial expression, my body with the people. We're gonna go deeper into it. Of course, the tone is easy, verbal is easy, the body language is gonna expand on it a little bit. So it is being with. I am being with. Attending, meaning I am with you. I'm listening to you. I'm paying attention to you. We use the acronym SOLAR. SOLAR means sit squarely with open posture, leaning forward, maintaining good eye contact in a relaxed way. Sit squarely. So when I'm talking to someone, it's different than just sitting face to face, than giving the person my side, or showing that I'm not interested, or looking into my phone. With open posture, like I'm open as opposed to being closed. What is wrong with closed? I'm putting what? Putting a fence. I'm putting a wall between me and you. Leaning forward, meaning I'm interested, not just listening, I am also interested. So there is a way to sit this way. Usually I'm not, okay, I'm kind of relaxed, but not sure if I'm really interested. But sitting this way shows I'm more interested, okay? Of course, I don't have to be sitting this way all the time, like a mix would be fun. But the general posture that I would have, maintaining good eye contact, looking at the person in a relaxed way, not in a tense way, because if I am tense, I'm going to make the people or the person in front of me is tensed as well. So this is attending. The second skill is active listening. I'm going to be showing you a video after I finish some of the skills, couple of the skills or three, to demonstrate what is happening. Active listening. Active listening is the ability to capture and understand the message being communicated. So I need to attend, meaning I'm listening to the person. I'm really showing the person, that the youth, I am interested. I am with you. I am with you because I'm interested. I would like to understand. Active listening, so I am with you. How do I show you that I do understand? Is being quiet and nodding, is this good enough to show the person that I understand? What do you think? Is this good enough to show you that I understand if I'm attending and nodding? Yes, good job. Is this good enough? No. So what do I need to do? Paraphrase. Excellent. Very good. So I need to show you. I need to give you a proof that I am really listening by really reflecting back to you some of what you said to me. The paraphrasing objective here is different than the paraphrasing that we talked about in a premarital retreat, for example. They just came from a premarital retreat. So the paraphrasing here acts like a mirror. The paraphrasing in kind of a helping context is I act like a mirror. And what's the purpose of a mirror? I see myself in a mirror. I see what needs to change in a mirror. So it's not just simple parroting to the person. It is very effective. I show the person that I do understand, and when I reflect back to the person, what am I doing? I'm acting like a mirror to that person. And when I act like a mirror to that person, they hear again what they just said. And believe it or not, there is a big impact how when happens when we hear what we just said, because when we hear it, we reprocess it. This is what happens in our minds. Our mind is able to take it back and process it and reprocess it and analyze it. And many of the times I would come back with more abilities to insight or solutions to the problem I was talking about. Obstacles to active listening. Is active listening easy? Actually, this is very difficult. It's not easy. One of the obstacles is selective listening. Sometimes when I'm listening to someone, the person says a statement and I focus on one key word that the person said, and maybe this is not what they want. So when I paraphrase back, I am showing the person, this is what I got. Is this correct, or do I need to understand something more? Do I need to really pay attention to something else? Another distraction or obstacle is distracted internally or externally. Externally is easy, is visible. If I'm fiddling with things like my phone, so I am distracted, or I'm looking somewhere else, I'm distracted externally. But could I be distracted internally? Of course, and no one would notice, right? I cannot read your minds right now, but some of us might be distracted internally. Am I really focused? Am I really preparing? I wonder what am I going to say to you? I wonder how am I going to fix your problem? I wonder what's happening else. So the more that I keep on thinking in lines different than what the youth is talking about, I am distracted internally. And usually when I am distracted internally, there are some aspects of what the youth is trying to talk to me about or like tell me. Sometimes I would miss many of those. Another obstacle is dismissive. This is not a big deal. Oh, it's not important. It's okay. What else? Just skip this piece. I dismissed a concern that the person said because to me this is not an issue, but maybe to the youth it is an issue. This is not an obstacle, so sorry for the indentation. So this is use encouragers, like this helps with attending actually and active to allow the person to continue to talk. Yes, I am with you. So what I hear you said, and then I would do a paraphrase. Yes.
This goes back to the distracted internally or externally. What
yes.
if there is an issue that's on your mind that it is occupying a lot of? Would you at that moment tell them like, can we time out, take a pause, can we talk about this later, or how would you?
What do you think if I said, you know what, let's take a break and continue later? Would this be something okay, acceptable or not?
I understand.
What do you think? What do you think? Is this okay or not okay? Pardon me?
It depends on the subject. Like if I'm emotionally, I need to talk to someone. If this person says at this point, I can't talk right now, let's talk later, I would.
I am the youth counselor or the youth, and I am myself distracted internally, but there is a youth talking to me.
So the youth, if the youth is like emotionally needs to talk now.
Okay.
He would feel like I need to talk now.
Okay.
So I don't know actually if I'm distracted internally, how should I fix this? But at the same time, if the youth needs this now.
Okay. Okay. What else? Other thoughts? Yes.
I think maybe like they might feel dismissed or pushed away, although that might not be our intention. It's just there's different reasoning. I don't know. I think maybe like if we can just put our problem aside and try not to think about it and just do active listening and get like away from our problem, focus on our problem, and focus on the youth, perhaps.
Focus. Okay, so kind of try to work on it to focus on what's happening. Okay. Other thoughts? We could do this, and I see no problem asking for time out as well. Sometimes, if I depending on how distracted or how am I internally. If it's because of an issue that I'm going through that is making me clearly not able to focus, I think I would ask for, let us pray. Can we stop here? Can we continue? I know you want, so I would definitely need to do a lot of use other skills to ask for permission that I am not able to continue. So, and actually this kind of happened. This happened in a smaller way for me. It happens all the time, but one of the most recent incidents, like someone said, Abuna, I'd really like to confess with you. Said, you know what, I had a really long day, and if I sit with you, I'm not going to be able to focus. And I'd really like to focus when I am sitting with you, so please allow me to reschedule for another day. Not because I'm present that I'm able to do this. So if I feel that I'm going to sit, but I'm not going to be able to really focus with the person would feel that I'm really not interested. Or, you know what, can we sit for 5 minutes, but then break? Or depending on the situation, if the person is really going through crisis and emergency that I need to attend to, of course that would be a different situation. You know what's happening, let me see what I can do, what we can do together. So, various options. One of them is to ask for a timeout if it deemed necessary to ask for a timeout or rescheduling. I think this is not wrong as long as I preface it with the appropriate apologies. I'm really sorry, I know you need me, but I'm not focused. I'd like to give you enough attention, so let us reschedule. This is, I believe, is okay. Let me show you a video that has these two skills, attending and active listening. And active listening is being able to repeat back, paraphrase in a helpful way to the person what I just learned. So I would try to paraphrase my understanding. So I would try to paraphrase what? I try to paraphrase thoughts and feelings, maybe tendencies for the person or what I heard from the person. Okay, any questions before we? Okay, so let us see this video. You might think it is mechanical, but actually the components of what is taking place is really very, very helpful and really very good. So try to read the description of paraphrasing or active listening in this role play. I'm gonna let the video go for some time, but then I'm gonna pause it and ask some of you to do paraphrase, so I'm preparing you, okay?
I'm in a really difficult situation at the moment that's just causing conflict in all areas of my life. I don't mean actual conflict, but you know, in terms of what I'm up against. Basically, I've been at university for 2 years, and I started going out with this white guy, and I'm not actually allowed to. And if my family found out, I'd be in such big trouble.
It's a very difficult situation. What do you think would be some of the things that we would pick on and we find and kind of alarm us, or maybe can be distracting in what she just said? Let's be honest. Why? And see who she's talking to? A non-white counselor, and she's brown, herself. Of course, as Egyptian parents, if we hear this, what's going to happen? Discussion is ended, right? Discussion is done. Of course, not all of us, but I mean, it's what sometimes we have filtered listening. Oh, she is seeing a white guy from a different culture, mixed culture. So this is a no. I'm not going to listen to anything. What else? What else is another filtered listening? So how parents are filtered keywords.
The first thing she mentioned that she's scared of her parents.
Okay.
Maybe
Scared of the parents.
So maybe if you know her parents is gonna call
If
them.
I know her parents, that's gonna be, of course. Yes. What else? What else? Yes, Ashley.
I'm not allowed to? Like,
I'm not allowed to. How is this filtered for you?
filter?
How is this selective listening for you?
Well, it's kind of linked to her feeling like frustrated or stressed about, like, not only is she doing, like, she's dating someone outside of her culture, but in an added layer of, like, her parents.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
it's also forbidden in a way.
Kind of an added rule, and maybe how come this should be normal? Everyone should be allowed to, and parents should not have the right to say yes or no in this setting, right?
She's also in university, so she's an adult.
Yes, she's what?
She's an adult. Like she said, she's in her second year of university.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to say the other way around. She's still a student, second year university, and maybe for me as a parent, second year university, seeing someone, this is a selective listening. No. You focus on your education first, and then relationship. So you see how some keywords could act as selective listening component. So if I get stuck onto one of these, on what's going to happen, my ability to listen actively to her is going to be diminished, right? I think we have a problem. I hope it does not. Oh, yes, thank God.
If your parents found out, you'd be in trouble.
Yeah, and the worst thing about it is that just last week I had to go back home. We had this family thing, and they didn't tell me, but when I got back, they'd actually arranged to meet this person. You know, they'd ideally like me to get married to, and that was really, really tough.
So they came back, and they actually arranged for you to meet someone, and that was really quite tough.
Yeah, really tough. I mean, it's so hard because it brings up such conflicting feelings, because I feel like I need to be loyal to my family, but in being loyal to them, I'm denying my own self-happiness, and I feel really trapped in it all.
So on one hand, you want to feel loyal to your family. On the other hand, you want to feel loyal, but you also feel trapped with the situation.
Yeah, trapped, and actually quite sad, because I mean, I don't even know if I really want to be with this guy, but surely that should be my choice, and it makes me, I just feel really sad, and it's so frustrating because I don't have the freedom to do what I want, and I don't feel like any other people who are my age have this problem.
So you feel sad and frustrated because you only have a choice that's your own.
Yeah, and that's really hard for me. It puts pressure on something that just should be, kind of a bit of fun. It makes it really serious and quite negative.
So actually, if you were following, he's doing a good job, an amazing job reflecting her feelings, the dilemma that she's going through, the conflicting situations, the feelings, making some gentle confrontation, showing her while she wants to really to have the freedom, she also does not want to really upset her parents and break the rules of her parents. So he's reflecting back to her what she is going through, and he's kind of, if you notice, sometimes he's mimicking even some of the movement, though he doesn't move a lot, but he's mimicking some of the, it's coming naturally, that he's really able to connect with her, attend to her, and reflect back to her what she is really experiencing and going through. This is really an amazing active listening, what this guy is doing. Yes?
I'm having a little bit of an issue with how he repeats almost everything she says.
Mm-hmm.
So it almost sounds like it's too mechanical, it's not actually fluent.
Yes.
So I'm having a hard time to know where the balance is to paraphrase and then just repeat everything all over again.
Yeah, that's a common and good question. At the beginning, it's okay to repeat some of the key words. Like the idea is repeat the key words. If it's feelings, I would reflect the feeling. Actually, there were some times when he kind of added a little bit more. So hopefully when we go to the second situation, so this is a role play, right? So this is not real, they're just acting, doing a role play, which is a good one. So hopefully as time goes by, it's okay at the beginning to kind of repeat some of the words or most of the words. Hopefully as time progresses by, things are going to be flowing naturally. So ideally speaking, I'm reflecting what is my understanding. If this is my understanding, this is good. And it's also helpful that he's kind of taking an opportunity to really reflect after very short sentences. One of the common problems in paraphrasing and active listening is when a person keeps on talking, and then I'm required to paraphrase. So sometimes it's helpful as a youth helper to say, let me pause you for a second, let me show you what I understand. I want to repeat what I understand to make sure that we are on the right track. So if this is something that did not happen here, but this happens in real life. People have a tendency to talk because I want to get out everything that's inside of me, but that's not helpful. It is more helpful to, specifically in the active listening skill, is to ask the person, so let me pause you for a second and let me repeat what I understand to make sure that I really get you. So I am making an action, making an active action to do active listening, pausing with permission, with a purpose, so that we're able to continue. Okay? So starting from this one, let me ask you to do the paraphrasing and listen to his paraphrasing. Can we do this? I think we can do it. Let's give this a try. So this is the situation. I cannot afford. So the first is the tension between wanting to be in a relationship, or like kind of wanting to be free and respect her family rules as well. So this is, I cannot afford to leave home, so let's see what the problem is.
So I'm having quite a few issues at the moment with my family. I'm finding that we're not getting on very well, and I'm not really sure what it's about, although I know that there's a cause problem, which is that I'm living at home at the moment out of financial necessity, and it's difficult for me because I have to be there, but I don't want to be there, and it's been a lot of things for me.
But you think, yeah.
So you notice, like she was kind of, she talked more, so kind of a key word to ask for a permission to paraphrase. So who would like to paraphrase what happened? Should be getting prizes with me.
She said, I don't want to be there, but I have to be there.
So how would you paraphrase? If you're the youth helper, what would you say? What would you say? How would you do paraphrasing?
So you don't want to be there, but you have to be there.
So it seems that what I'm hearing you say, you don't want to be there, but you feel that you have to be there, you're obliged to be there. Good. Yes?
I can say because she said about financial, she cannot afford it financially. I can understand that you want to stay at home, and at the same time, you cannot afford to be outside staying alone.
So you want to stay at home, but because you cannot afford it financially, you cannot stay. You would like to stay at home, or you want to stay. Okay. Yes, George.
I would ask a question of like, well, why do you feel like you're stuck? Like, is this a financial thing? Is this like your parents going to beat you up? Like, what is the?
Good. So if you ask question, what would this be? What kind of skill is this?
It's definitely not. I get it, but I mean, we're making assumptions, I guess. It's
Yes.
a clarification. Like that's what we're asking for, right? Like,
Yes. This is kind of the questioning skills, which is a skill that we're going to come to by the end of this session. However, it is recommended to stay first, try to understand. So I don't understand. So it is okay to wait. And I'm not sure if you remember this part of the previous slide that I showed you, that one of the counselors or youth helper challenges is to deal with ambiguities, something that is not clear yet. So it's okay to stay with it. Let me paraphrase first, let me listen to what she has to say first, then comes the questioning part, right?
So are we like if there is ambiguity in the story that just doesn't line up, so you're kind of confused, are you then kind of like just...
It depends. Here, this is just the first sentence. So I'm not going to be asking questions the first sentence. I would be listening first. Maybe if I need to take mental note or written quick note about something that I would need to inquire about later on, I would do this. But this is the first statement, I would use attending, paraphrasing as from the get-go, from the beginning. Attending, paraphrasing, empathy is the next skill, but not now. So right now I'm trying to understand. My focus is understand, then we come to later to questions. Not even solutions. By the way, if you remember what we talked about first session, we're not going into solutions. We're not doing any solutions. We are focused on understanding. Just focus on understand. And you would be surprised how much we could achieve in terms of help just by understanding and paraphrasing. Yes?
Is it, I don't want to say it's wrong, is it like a hindrance if you ask them to repeat again?
Thank you. This is very nice because I wanted to mention this when you talked about internally distracted. It's absolutely fair and right, and this is good integrity. You know what? I kind of did not get this. Would you mind repeating this again? Of course, absolutely. This is good.
I guess the concern is like that.
The person would know that I was not listening, right? Which is worse? The person knowing I'm not listening or really missing a significant piece of the story?
You're cutting your losses.
Listen, yes, exactly. So it's which is kind of exactly. Yeah, which is the best loss to deal with, and it is recommended to deal with the loss. You know what? And it's okay. It's fine. We are human beings. We are not to take away our limitations just because I am a helper. No, it's so. You know what? My mind zoned somewhere, and I would like to bring it. So can you please repeat? I didn't get this piece. Can you please repeat it for me one more time? Usually people would repeat it. Sometimes we think we're under the microscope, and believe it or not, the other person, the youth, they are the ones feeling that they are under the microscope, right? So it's absolutely fine to ask for, you know what, I wasn't really listening. Do you mind repeating? So let us hear what he says.
I'm not sure what they're about. And they might be somehow related to financial way to have to do there.
Yeah. That I'm having to live at home. It's very difficult, but I don't think a lot of people can afford, definitely afford to buy a house, can't afford the mortgage or afford even rent, and it's quite, high outgoing outgoing. I don't. It's very difficult for you. I'm not. I need to be. I just feel really sad. Really, I feel confused, and well, I don't know, because I really can't totally identify how I feel, although I do feel confused.
These things, sometimes you're able to identify, you feel, a lot of times you feel confused.
Yeah, I feel confused, and I don't know how to deal with those negative emotions, because they're quite strong. Feeling frustrated, it's like a kind of an energy that I have to get rid of, and I don't know how to.
Yeah, I'm finding it difficult myself to really. Allow me to skip this piece. I think we're due for a break right now, right? So let's take, how long do we take a break?
10, 15 minutes.
10 minutes? Yeah. Can we take 10 minutes break? So 5:20, we restart the session. Okay, so let's take a break. Hopefully I will restart. Maybe we get a better audio.
في مرنا سامع قول لهم انه في هنا ال10 دقايق هتضيع وهم قاعدين. لا
Guys, we have coffee and juice.
treats. اتفضلوا اتفضلوا treats. مرنا سامي هم بصي هم بدأوا 3 بس دلوقتي معايا 1 viewer. انا مش عارفة مين اللي معايا دلوقتي خلاص. حلو ما قريتش اي حاجه من المسجات. بتتكلم بالليل ماشي. كنت عايزاني اكوبي انا لمحت كده عارفه انا بقرا الكتاب ولا لا؟ ايه هو قولي لي انا ما قريتش برضه المسجات. يعني ممكن بالليل بنتكلم هقول لك ايه بس هم على الجروب. طب بس لو ممكن اعمل فين؟ ستيبل. لا بس خلاص بس الورك بعدين هي على الجروب انا كنت بعتها. احنا اللي انت بعتيه لما ابونا سامويل سأل على الورك اللي انت بعتيه ده اللي احنا خلصناه الحاجات دي هي اللي انا اديها للناس. فاكره لما سامح طلب ورق فانا على فكره انا بعت الرساله دي انا كنت قاعده معاك انا كنت بقول على المعلومه دي بقول له دلوقتي سامح طالب الورق بتاع الورك شوب. طب ايه رايك؟
مفيش ابدا
ان انا ادي اللي هو بتاع الستودنتس مش بتاع البريباريشن بتاع السيرفرز. هي دي ده اللي انا عايزه افرقه في اللي انت بعتيه ده ستودنتس اور سيرفنتس.
التايتل اللي انا بعتاه هيمشي ستودنتس او سيرفنتس. انت هتخشي فيهم بقى الستودنتس خدي فاهمه؟
يعني ما دخلتش على
يعني التايتل مثلا سي استراتيجيك
هدخل هلاقي الستودنتس وحاجات ستودنتس فيهم حاجات ودي ابديتد مش احنا كنا بنابديت اول باول وده كان سؤال لابونا قال لي انا مش عارفه عشان كده بعت السؤال ليكم.
لا ده لو احنا ممكن بقى في حاجات شلنا ما عملناش كلها مثلا كده اهو هتبقى موجوده. عشان كده اي دونت ريكومند ان بس لو ابونا
لا ابونا قال انه ياخد اللي احنا كنا بنوزعه عليهم اون سبوت فده اللي ابونا موافق عليه.
لا يبقى ده we need to نحن نعمل we need to type it word.
ما هو التايب بس احنا عايزين نشيل منه هو انت عشان
ده PDF
انا هحوله
حاول ايوه بس التحويل
خلاص حولي اتس نوت عربي خلاص طالما مش عربي هيتحول كويس خلاص حول صح حول
Hi Ashley, how are you? Miss you.
You didn't come here last time.
No, I was. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got home. I was traveling back from Europe, so yeah.
Nice time.
I went skiing for a week.
Oh,
in France, and it was just my face that's
that's nice.
Yeah.
You enjoyed it.
I had a lot of fun. Yeah, but my flight back, I didn't get home till late until like 8:30 at night.
That's why.
Yeah. But I still have to watch the video. Was it on the show? And I was like, thinking about the traffic coming from Toronto. Like it was like hailing, and then snowing, and then like, and the highway was
no spring in this country.
What is it?
No.
It was hailing and snowing downtown. Yeah, it was like hail. I was really surprised. Like, I was just like,
today you
yeah. Today, like,
today's
and I got you guys coming, not stuck, I just like, the traffic was worse than I had anticipated.
Did you have fun with friends?
I did, I had so much fun. I went to staying there for 4 months, so I went to stay with her for a week. Yeah, learn how to take ski lessons. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. Something.
Yeah, it was a good break. Like I wasn't really sure if I was gonna go, but I said, oh, why not? When am I ever gonna do this again? So yeah.
Guys, do you know about the movie in Noah's movie? Sight and Sound Theater. It will be only 3 days during Christmas, April 14, 21, 25. And here in Cineplex.
Did I miss any
Sight and Sound Theater? No, you don't know about it. In Pennsylvania, the Muslim anyway, it's show, but I can see 3D shows because the theater is all around. People are flying, coming down. I'm going to attend Jesus again for the second time. They acted, you know the story of Peter when he walked on the water, I think it's on the stage. They're doing it on the stage live. Yeah, it's amazing show. Okay?
They're doing it on the video?
No, show. People, actually, yes. We're driving to the radio to watch it. Yes, for the second time. But now they filmed one of their shows which is known. And it's on Cineplex. This is the movie, okay? It's 14, 21, and 28.
Oh, like Palm Sunday?
Yeah, I think so. I can send it to YMC.
أنا بعمل فيديو الأغنية بعد
Really? Yeah, I'll go and take it. I'll go and take mine.
No, I don't. Thank you.
Like what I'm saying is I agree with you. I think
I'll take coffee.
it's a combination. Will it help in any way?
I have a question.
أول ما تبدأي assignment ده
on the 17th بعد ال 17th ده هيبقى في مؤتمر صابونة اوكي فأنا بعت أحمد مسج قال لي اوكي إن هو that's fine yeah بس قال لي I'm gonna confirm on you the next session which was last week so it will be fun فأنا مش عارفة احنا on off
So I'm trying to get out of the
هو قال لي مثلا خليها كانسل يا جماعه قبلها اوكي بس قال لي انا هكونفيرم عليك معاكي على المفروض المره اللي فاتت بس هو ما جاش المره طب خلاص اوكي هساله واقول عليك
بس انا شايفه ان ابونا زود
انا ما فهمتش الاسبوع اللي فات، ما اعرفش ايه الفرق
ليه؟ بس انا على ايام كانت اخر حاجه هي
مالها ايامك كانت جميله.
اليوم الطويل من 9 to 5 دوت كانت اخر حاجه في النص.
هو الاسبوع الجاي.
هو الاسبوع الجاي.
طب هو بعد كده في ايه بقى؟
ما فيش حاجه خلاص المفروض تقعدوا تقروا الكتب دي وتحلوها على النفسوي وبعدين
يعني احنا من اول بعد السبت الجاي مفيش من يوم الاحد.
لا بس الكورس اللي عندنا هو اوساني المفروض ان اوساني لسه متخرج السنه اللي فاتت. اوساني هيقول هو بيكون ابونا على محاضرتين فمش عارفه امتى تحددهم امتى مين هو كل الالف مين بس مش عارفه امتى في مين فانا هبعت لابونا
واسال بعد يوم السبت الجاي مفيش حداد تاني. لا غير اليومين دول فعلا برضه لحد يوم لحد جون في حداد.
وبعدين هو الاسبوع الجاي هيبقى ايه؟ لا هقول لا علشان العيد وكده. حسب هايدي يمكن عندها فهي حدث الاسبوع اللي فات انا زي
بس ما فهمتش الفرق او ايه. انا اللي فهماني كان كل حد لحد السبت لحد الجمعه. انا ممكن على قد
بقول ان الاسبوع الجاي السكاجول على حسب السكاجول بتاع كل سنه بقول ان اليوم الوسط دوت ده بيبقى
في القداس بداية
لسه العيد بتاعي مش بتاع التغيير مش عارفه بس
ايوه انا غالبا مش عارفه بس انا يعني هم بينزلوا في عيال لازم يفكروا قبل ما ننزل ونصحيهم ونوصلهم يعني في بروسيجرز مش اصحى انزل. كان زمان ده لما كنت سنجل يعني
بس وبعدين بيجي هنا
وقال لي لسه فكرت يعني بقول له انا السبت الجاي نازله بس قال لي ليه؟ عشان ايه يعني سبت الماجستير
يعني الساعة 10:30 هيبقى في فطار الساعة 2:30 هيبقى في غدا وبعدين
يعني من 11 بيزك
بالظبط كده هيبدأ أبونا كنترول نوم دايما بيبدأ سيشن بقى أبونا كنترول هيبقى
من 11
يعني
أنا أجي على أفطرهم أسيبهم ممكن أجي
أي حاجة هيزهق
لا مش دي مشكلة ما عندهم لانجوج بيخلصوا 12 أنا هفطر غديهم
عندهم ايه اللي هي مدرسة العرب
وانا في ميلتون فنو وين مش هينفع اجيبهم ويجي اما هضطر اجي 12 ونص
هيجي غالبا السيشن الاولاني
لا انا عايزه اجي من 11 يعني انا هظبط ان انا كده مش هتناول انا اجي بقى على السيشن على طول وابتدي هما بس اظبطهم اخلص حاجاتهم أصدق في الحاجات
هتأكد من أبونا شوية على موضوع أغساني أنا زي كان عندي أغساني
هو ريسكيدول بس هما يعني أنا افتكرت لحد مايو إحنا عندنا سيشن
المفروض يعني
ما أنا ما فهمتش بقى إن إحنا نقف وبعدين
أقول لك السكاجول اللي الحاجات الباقية هو السيمينار هو السيمينار from 9 to 5 وبعدين ده كان بيتصلح
يعني يومين هم أرساني
ايه موضوع أرساني انت اسمع انا يعني صرفت بأرساني هو زود كورس تاني ابو
هو زيادة اوريدي
زيادة السنة دي أول سنة
السنة دي أول سنة بس هم قايلين إن هو ورك شوب الكورس بتاع جورج باسيليوس
ورك شوب
هو ورك شوب وابونا بشوي كان قايل إن هو هيبقى في البيت أونلاين بس غالبا احتاجوا إن أول مرة يبقى فيها شرح
هو بيتكلم عن المحافظين العاصين.
ما انا مش عارفه بقى. يبقى انا كنت فاهماه
احنا اخر مرة
بالظبط ان كله هيبقى اونلاين. بعدين المره اللي فاتت وهو بيتكلم ارساني وهيبقى مره وهيجي ويقول مش عارفه لما كتب قلت اوكي يبقى شكلها مثلا اول مره ارساني هيشرح الموضوع وين وبعد كده هيبقى اونلاين.
شو بيشتغل ازاي يعني عشان يعرفوا يشتغلوا في البيت.
هو قال حاجه ان احنا هنتجمع نعمل ايه، هنقسم مجاميع، هو هيحط لنا مجاميع ونتقسم بروجكت، نتقابل نعمل البروجكت ده هنا او في اي حته تريحنا. ده اللي انا فهمته المره اللي فاتت ان هو هيحط لنا في مجموعه، المجموعه دي هتتجمع تعمل البروجكت اللي وراها. بس هي اكيد السبت الجاي اخر يوم مفيش حداد بعد كده.
هو حدد يومين لعوساني عوساني لسه ما اتحددش
لسه لا 14 مايو 14 مايو
اهو اتحدد.
ده حد من 4 ل 6 ده ارساني بس ما اعرفش هيبقى ده وخلاص ولا ده and it will follow something.
يعني بس من يوم السبت الجاي ل 14 مايو مفيش حاجه. لا صح كده فاضيين، فالحقبه الزمنيه دي احنا فاضيين نركز بقى في الحياه والشغل والعيال.
My wife now just orders online, and things like show up in the house, and then she's like, okay, you gotta take this back, you gotta return
Which one? I wasn't here last. Just last week? Yeah, I was here.
If my family it just, I mean, so I'm having
so this is from the beginning, okay? From not the first scenario, the second scenario.
Quite a few issues at the moment with my family. I'm finding that we're not getting on very well, and I'm not really sure what it's about, although I know that there's a cause to the problem, which is that I'm living at home at the moment out of financial necessity, and it's quite difficult for me because I have to be there, but I don't want to be there, and it's bringing up a lot of things for me.
So you think you're having some problems with your family? You're not sure what they're about?
So what's the focus here? Problems with the family.
And they might be somehow related to financial situations you have to live there. That I'm having to live at home. It's very difficult for young people at the moment. I don't think a lot of people can afford, definitely can't afford to buy a house, or can't afford the mortgage, or can't afford even rent, and it's quite a high outgoings. I wonder how you feel about that.
What do you notice different here, George? He asked a question. Why did he ask a question? Why do you think he asked that question?
Because she didn't see say her feelings.
She did not say feelings, she did not express feelings, so she's asking about feelings. Because it's important to check the three components. What are the three components that, you remember in the first session we were asking scenario and let's analyze it. What are the three components we're trying to analyze, that we're trying to look for? Thoughts, feelings, behavior. Thoughts, feelings, behavior, right? What did she just express? Thoughts. And do they seem to be coherent or making a subject or a sense? Like she stated facts. Like the rent is high, mortgage is high, okay? What's new? For someone who is you. So the way he did it, the way he's trying to get more, so he cannot paraphrase. This is not something. What is there to paraphrase? I'm here to paraphrase the person's feelings, the person's thoughts, the person's tendencies or actions, right? So he asked the question to be able to help her to focus. Maybe this is one of the purposes of question, is to help the person focus. What is it? So on the issue. So she's having problems with dealing with her parents at home, and she thinks part of it is finance, and mortgage is high, rent is high. So how do you feel about this?
Quite frustrated and sad at times, a bit angry, trapped, like I don't know where to go, where to turn, or how to do it.
You feel quite angry and trapped at times because you don't know where to turn.
Yeah, I don't know what direction to go into to help sort out the issues, or I don't know, because I kind of can't totally always identify how I feel, although I do feel confused.
So you're saying sometimes you're...
Who would like to paraphrase? Or I would like someone to paraphrase. I'd like someone to paraphrase. Yes, Ash.
So you're saying that sometimes you have a hard time understanding your feelings and that makes you feel confused.
Good. So you're having a hard time figuring out your feelings and this is making you confused. Very good. What else? What is she trying? Yes.
Maybe she doesn't feel confident speaking to anyone to tell them the problems, the actual problems, because up till now she did not mention actual problem.
Yes.
Like
So you're
like,
okay.
What are they fighting about?
Yes. Yes. So this would be an issue for her or an issue for you as a helper.
For me to try to get it out first, but I'm neither like. Obviously, I don't know, it doesn't seem that she has friends too that she talks to.
How did you figure this out?
Because she's not saying it even fluently. She's not talking about it fluently.
Yeah.
It seems like her first time to even brainstorm it.
Articulate this topic, yes. Yeah, she seems to be kind of all over the place, and the general feeling is, or the general sense that she is confused. Yes.
I'm not.
Okay. Why not?
Probably going to destroy it.
That's fine. Go ahead. What's your question?
Is the objective to help her sort out what she's struggling, like try and help her to figure out what she's like, sort out the confusion that she has, or is the objective to like the end goal is to help her solve the problem that she's going through? Like, what's the overall objective to us helping? Maybe this is a very trivial.
No, absolutely. Actually, this is very important to bring us back on track. What is our mission? What is our objective? One word. Understand. Understand her experience. So my focus is not to solve her problems yet. This is one of the common kind of pitfalls for us as helpers. So I hear a problem, so I'm listening to a problem and I want to fix it. I want to find a solution. So what do you think we could do? But right now, and usually this makes it not productive for them, believe it or not. They would like to get an opportunity to think about it, because instead of giving them a fish, I'm trying to help them fish. I'm helping them use the rod. And by paraphrasing, what am I doing? I'm putting the problem in front of their eyes. When I'm putting the problem in front of their eyes, actually literally speaking, before their ears and mind. When they hear it, so this is before, what I mean before their eyes, that they listen to it, they think about it, they could make some sense of some of it, and then we see what is left, and then this is when we jump into questions and problem solving. Okay? Yes,
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to understand, with that understanding, like you mentioned something about there's thoughts, behaviors,
feelings.
And feelings. But is that, like, those are the things you're trying to figure out which categories they're how, I guess I'm trying to understand is what is the relationship between those three categories and the overall picture? Maybe I missed that.
No, actually this is a good question. So I have a problem.
Okay.
How does this problem make you feel? How are you thinking about it? What are your action tendencies with this problem? So I have a problem. How are you feeling about this problem? How does this problem make you feel? So she feels that she is. What is the problem? What is the problem? No, this is the first scenario. This is the second scenario. In this scenario, what is her problem?
Can't afford to leave, too expensive to move out.
She doesn't get along with her parents.
She's not getting along with her parents. She's having conflict with her parents. She has problems with her parents. Tensions with her parents. How is this making her feel? Trapped, frustrated, and confused. Trapped, frustrated, confused. Reasons that she's having these feelings. Thoughts that's making her think this way. She cannot afford. If she leaves the house, she has to have financial abilities. She does not have financial ability. So actually we mix both together. So she cannot afford. I'm not able to pay rent. So action tendency would be, maybe if I leave the house, things would be better. Maybe. This is one of the thoughts. Of course, we're not sure that this would resolve the problem, but this is what she is experiencing. This is how she's thinking about it. So my objective is to try to understand the problem from her point of view, so that when comes a time, we'll see that she would figure out a solution that is suitable for her. Otherwise, I would be thinking of a solution that is suitable for me, and that's not what I'm trying to do. Does this make sense?
Identify how you feel, but a lot of times you feel confused.
Yeah, I feel confused, and
you would notice that she's usually, after he paraphrases, what does she say? Yes. And when she says yes, this means he got her. If she said nothing, then he didn't get her. If she says no but, then he did not get her. So this is a sign from the person, from the youth, that I need to continue to listen or listen more.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how to deal with those negative emotions, because they're quite strong. Feeling frustrated, it's like a kind of like an energy that I need to get rid of, and I don't know how to. And usually you go home for the place of comfort, the place to decompress, and I can't do that because that's the place that's causing the problems in the first place.
I'd like to paraphrase. How would you paraphrase this for her? Would like to paraphrase. Paraphrase. Don't tell me what she's going through. You are the helper. What would you say?
So you feel you don't have your own space to sort out your feelings.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have a place to sort out your feelings. What else? Good. Yes.
You don't want to go back home because you don't feel you are comfortable.
You don't want to go back home because you feel you're not comfortable. Okay.
Means to decompress.
You want to?
She wants to decompress.
What would you say to her? How would you paraphrase?
You're stressed.
You are stressed. It seems that you're going through a lot of stress. Okay. Mina.
I was going to say, so you feel frustrated and the place you want to decompress would be the same source of your frustration.
Okay, so you're feeling frustrated because the source of your comfort is bringing you more frustration than comfort. Good. So let's hear what he says. Of course, that doesn't mean that he's the right. But this is, all of these are efforts, and because this is, any skill is developed by practice and training. So this is what we're trying to simulate. The more that I try at it, the more that I'm actually practicing, the more that I would practice the skills, the more that I really learn it more. Again, there is no right or wrong, because I have someone who can correct my paraphrase. Right? So as long as I have the person, of course it's more difficult here because we don't have her, but we're trying to see what we can understand.
To how to approach feeling better about the situation, apart from moving out, and that's not possible, so I need to deal with the situation at hand.
For the sake of time, let's go back to the presentation, and there will be another role play that we can use. So what is helping youth all about? So what is it about? Why? What's the most important aspect in helping youth? So the youth counselor is a relationship, not problem solving. Developing a relationship, because today there is a problem. Tomorrow there will be another problem. After 1 month, after 1 year, there will be problems are ongoing. They do not stop. But what am I trying to achieve as a youth helper? Connect. Because when I connect, then they would trust. They would be able to feel that I am someone who can be with them in the problem. So the youth are not looking for someone to solve the problem for them, but they're looking for someone who would be with them, could be standing with them, bouncing ideas with them, understand how they feel. A lot of the youth, the issue for them is not because they have bad parents, but because their parents want to push certain solutions for them, and they want just someone to listen to them. So helping is a process of alliance. Alliance meaning connection. And the connection between the youth and the counselor, this develops the degree of alliance. So how much are we connected? Develop the degree of alliance as a helper and the youth. So the relationship, the counselor role is to be genuine. So I'm shifting between the skills and my role as a youth helper or counselor. So we talked about attending, we talked about the active listening, and the reason we're doing this because I want to develop alliance. So I use these skills, attending and active listening, to develop my connection and alliance with the youth. I need to do this in genuine way, warmth and acceptance, meaning non-judgmental attitude. The youth role is to process, is to really understand. When I reflect back to them what they have said, they need to process and reflect. And usually by reflecting and processing what we just talked about, they come up with solutions themselves. Alliance is the greater of the sum of the parts. Who are the parts? Youth, the counselor, the issue, or the problem. So I need to realize it's not I am more important because I'm a helper, or he or she is more important because they were, but the total thing, the total process, the overall sitting with a person and me helping, all of this is much more valuable than just having a youth without a helper than having a helper without a youth. And of course, if you have one only, you cannot have alliance or a relationship. A third skill we would need to talk about is empathy. What is empathy? It is listening to behavior, experience, feeling from the counselee's point of view. And this is the tricky part. From whose point of view? The counselee or the youth. So not my point of view, not what I think is right, not what I think is works or not work, but what they think, what they feel, what is their experience. So understanding what the world looks like from their point of view. Being able to express the counselee your understanding of their point of view regarding their experience, behavior, and feelings. So being able to say something like, oh, this must be very difficult for you, or it hurts that you've had such a treatment. I am sure maybe, or I'm guessing maybe you went through a lot of hurt or difficult time because of this. So I'm adding a little bit, and this would what is called as empathy. I understand. I understand it is difficult. The basic words of empathy are these. I understand that this could be difficult for you. Not necessarily that I have been through what they have gone through, but I understand from their point of view that this is difficult. So sympathy is having pity, and this is not it. Sympathy is ya haram, oh, pity you, so sad for you. That's sympathy, and this is not what they are looking for. Empathy is not agreeing with the counselor, and this is a very important key point. Sometimes we think by reflecting or by having empathy that I agree with what they are going through, but that's not true. Understanding their point of view does not mean I agree with you. This would come handy in terms of an example. I'm going to show you an example and you tell me what's happening. So empathy denotes understanding and accepting the person, not necessarily the behavior or the feeling or the person of you. So here is an example. A beautiful, skinny teenage weighing about 85 pounds comes to you saying, I'm just so fat, I'm so ugly, I cannot believe how big my thighs look. I am so worried about gaining weight because I never want to be called cow again. I absolutely refuse, but I'm so hungry all the time. I feel trapped in this, I feel so fat, I'm so fat. What would you say, or not what would you say, how do you understand the youth point of view? What is the person trying to say? Yes, you want to say something, Ash?
It must be really hurtful having been called a cow before. I can understand that would make you feel really stressed out about gaining weight.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is an empathetic step. I'm expressing empathy. Absolutely, very good. What is she going through? Okay.
I translated the 85 pounds is 38.5 kilograms.
Yeah.
It's a low weight. So.
Yeah. What else could she be going through? So this is diagnostic.
Yes.
What else could she be going? What led to this anorexia nervosa?
Stress at home.
Stress. Low self-esteem coming from? Stress, low self-esteem coming from? Bullying. She has been called a cow. Who would call her a cow? Hopefully not her parents. a kid, not her parents, seeing someone 38 kilogram or 85 pound, they're not going to say this. But who called her a cow? Probably people who are bullying her. So what is her experience? Bullying. So we can understand she has been bullied and she does not take it. It's hard for her. I can understand that it's hard being called a cow and going through this experience. So she's going through a tough time. She's going through this experience. She's seeking to lose weight so that she is not doesn't get called a cow again. You did good. Questions. This is another skill. So empathy is expressing. Do you agree that she's a cow? If you said, it must be very difficult for you to be called a cow. Are you agreeing that she is a cow? No. But what am I doing? I'm understanding. I'm agreeing it's difficult. I'm seeing that it must be difficult and hurtful to be called names. Right? So I'm just understanding, not that I agree that she is a cow, that she's fat. Right? So when I say this, I'm not promoting anything else. What if I try to, you know what? You're kind of thinner than me, right? You're much less weight than me. What am I doing here? What? Comparison.
Well, you're putting the focus on you now.
I'm putting the focus on me. Comparison.
You're like diminishing her feelings.
I'm diminishing her feelings, and I don't want to diminish her feelings. I don't see her a cow. I see someone who's hurt. So I have to express this. I have to find words. And the skill that I use is empathy, to really be able to reflect to her, wow, this really hurts, what you're going through. Questions are very powerful. Now this is a new skill, which is question. Do you have the article called Question Cube? I think sent it a while.
Last time?
Last time, I think.
Okay, I found it.
Or if you don't find it, tell me and I'm going to send it to you to email. There is an article called Question Cube. So this is kind of a very, very, very brief summary of the article. I would definitely need to read the article, would expand our abilities how to frame and how to use questions in a talented way. So questions explore and clarify issues, clarify feelings, actions, behavior, details about the question. Allows the youth to reflect and see different perspectives based on how I use the question. So the question cube has to do with the format of the questions. And these are the formats of questions that we can use. Open-ended question, closed question, forced choices. So open-ended, like a question that usually the answer would be kind of a story or a paragraph, okay? Some people, though, are talented to answer an open-ended question with one word, right? And closed question is usually a question that the answer would be yes or no. Again, there are some people who are talented by responding to a closed question with a paragraph and a story. Forced choices is when I give the person, is it this, or is it one, or two, or three? So this is forced choices. So I want them to choose this, or this, or this. So that when I ask them, it helps them reflect. Usually, forced choices question helps me to clarify certain things, and it also helps me allow the youth to reflect on what could it be. So allow them to engage, process, and reflect. Ranked questions and rated questions, they are kind of, I forgot the exact difference. Rating ranked is which is the most, which is the least. Which is the most, which is the least. Rated out of 1 to 10. How does this bother you? Out of 1 to 10, how much are you committed to finishing your school? Out of 1 to 10, how much are you determined to leave the house? So this is the type or the format of the question. And the question has a type. And this is belief, feeling, behavior, meaning, or relationship. So is the question about the relationship? The subject, is it about the feeling, or is it about the belief? What is the understanding? What do you believe? What did you grow up believing regarding this particular issue? Meaning, what does it mean to you that your brother or that your mother said this to you? What did it mean to you? What does it mean to you that you really want your car and want to have access to a car, and your parents do not want to give you an access to a car? Relationship. Tell me more about your relationship with your siblings or with your colleagues and so forth. So a question would have a format and subject. The question has also an orientation. An orientation would be, is it about the person or is it about somebody else? How do you think about this? How does your mother think about you wanting to leave home? How does your dad see or think about you wanting to leave the home? So one is about self, one is about the other. So how do I use the question? What's the orientation? What question usually elicits what facts? What happened? So I want the facts. What are the facts involved in this story? How the process? How did this happen? So this, then this. Why question is the question that we are encouraged not to use. Why do you feel sad? That's not a good question. Why do you feel frustrated? That's not a good question. That's a very dismissive question. Why? Asking the feeling, why do you feel sad? What makes you feel sad? So what's the difference? If I say, what makes you feel sad, what am I asking for? A story. I want the story behind, so I validate that you're feeling sad. I want the story behind you feeling sad. And the only time when the why question could be helpful is when I ask for reasons, not for feelings. What's the reason that your dad said this? What's the reason that you took this action? So I'm asking for the reasons that why did you make this action? Not questioning, but kind of finding the reasons behind this question. Could is a question that maximizes an open-ended answer. Could you tell me more about? Could you tell me more about yourself? Could you tell me more about your friend? Could you tell me more about your home? Could you tell me more about this situation? And what else is kind of to cover anything that I could have missed. So maybe I ask about different areas, but maybe I really want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And usually this is very helpful. So, and it makes me realize that sometimes I could be missing something. So anything else that I could have missed that you would like to make me aware about? Tips for questions. Sometimes, yes?
Sorry, can you just clarify again why is wrong fast?
Because it's why challenges specific. Why is wrong when it comes to challenging feeling. Usually, we have a tendency to ask a lot of whys because we want to know why this happened. Why does this? But it is more tactful to use any of the other questions. The why is recommended to use to find reasoning behind why did this happen. What made you take so in a different way instead of why? What made you do this? It's like why did you make this? So if I ask you, why did you make this? How would you perceive it? Could you perceive it sometimes as judgmental? Sometimes, yes. So we want to avoid this because it could be coming by mistake. I tend to judge you, but you would receive it as I am. Why did you do this? Right? So usually it comes with a judgmental attitude with the question. Some of the tips in asking questions. Asking too many questions could be felt like intrusive, right? Open questions are more helpful in exploring. I want to understand. So it would be able to help me understand what is the problem. Help me understand what made you do this. Help me understand why do you think your parents acted this way, and so forth. Closed questions are most helpful after an open question. So a good strategy is to ask an open-ended question, and I will get more detail, but I want to really, maybe I want to clarify something that maybe I have missed or that I would like to make sure I get this crystal clear. So it is helpful to ask close question after an open-ended question. Have a clear intention from the question. It would be helpful to have a plan. What kind of questions am I going really interested to understand? What are aspects that I'm really interested to know so that I would plan my question? This could come usually not from the first time, but maybe the second time I meet with the youth, or maybe at the end of my meeting with the youth. Yes, me.
Would paraphrasing be considered a closed-ended question in a way after an open-ended question? meaning that if we ask an open-ended question and then they would explain what is going on, and then after that we paraphrase, would that, in that case, be considered a closed-ended question, or would we still need to get to use that strategy somewhere else?
Not able to say no, I'm not able to say yes. So it's a yes and no. Meaning, yes, because what's the usual response I am expecting after a paraphrase?
Validation and yes.
Validation, and this comes through yes. And so this is a. So my understanding is so and so and so. Is this correct? Yes. So it is a closed question, but it is a closed question with the purpose of paraphrasing, reflecting my understanding back, versus what happened. And the person, so were you driving slow or fast? This is more of a choice, but it's very close to a closed question as well. Did you do this? Did you think about this? Yes or no? So it's more of a questioning, more of helping the person to expand more or focus on a specific answer. Does this make sense?
Yeah. No, the only reason why I was asking is because I didn't want to kind of overload one type of questioning versus the other. So if I ask open-ended question and then after that I paraphrase, and then I ask another closed-ended question, I don't want to be sounding like I'm interrogative more than
That's usually with paraphrasing. So my understanding is that you're thinking maybe paraphrasing could be another question that added to other questions, could be like I'm interrogating the person.
That's my fear, and that's the reason why I wanted to see if that would be considered a closed-ended question, or if I would still have that ability to ask.
Yes, it is a closed-ended. It is kind of a closed-ended question, but it's helping understanding. So usually it's not going to be perceived as this, other than I'm validating the person. So it should be fine. Always observe the impact of the question on the counselee nonverbal cues. If you find, and so this kind of comes kind of very clear answer to your question, like if I notice the person is annoyed, the person is feeling not comfortable by my questioning, or maybe the person is not sure, not clear, so what is exactly happening? So if I felt not comfortable, it is good to reflect. I'm sensing that you're not comfortable. Did I say anything that I've said to you? Are these too many questions for you to answer? Is this too much more than what you expected that we would talk about? Because questions usually have the ability to do what? Allow the person to talk more about their issue. So when I talk more about my issue, I'm already exposing. And this is not a comfortable place all the time. So it needs to come, of course, attendance, alliance. That's why it's very important. And then comes the paraphrasing, attending paraphrasing, and then later comes the questioning, so that I'm able really to really interact. And by asking questions, I'm asking the person to expose. So some people say, this is too much, I don't want to say this. I need to respect it. I need to realize, well, that this is too much, maybe let me slow down. So what would you like to do right now? Okay. This is a role play between two adults. It's not counselor, not youth or anything, but it really manifests a lot of the skills that we just talked about today. Ideally speaking, I would be pausing a lot, but I know we reached kind of the end, so I'm gonna try to minimize my interruption so that you would see what is happening and you see the skills in action. Okay, and especially the beginning is really very nice.
That you'd like to discuss today. So whenever you're ready, I'm happy for you to voice whatever it is that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, well, I suppose the bottom line is
understand that you have some concerns that you'd like to discuss today. So whenever you're ready, I'm happy for you to voice whatever it is that you'd like to talk about.
You see, the intro is very significant. It sets the stage for the connection. I'm not trying to force myself. Though that this is a person coming in for counseling. Again, this is role play, by the way. So this is the person coming in for counseling, but she's setting the stage in a way to build what? To build the alliance. And you see how they are seated, mimicking one another. But I want you to notice, what is he doing? Yes, I want you to pay attention to this.
Yeah, well, I suppose the bottom line is I'm having some difficulties in my relationship with my wife. And I'm very uncertain about actually being here. And it's a bit embarrassing talking about these things with a stranger.
Yeah, so you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable discussing such personal information with an outsider?
Yes, it is. I'm a bit awkward.
Right.
I was brought up to solve your problems yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't go outside the family, you don't take your problems to strangers. And I would normally do, but also I realise now that given the depth of the problem, that I also need to get another perspective on things.
Okay, all right. I guess what I generally say to people when they first come along is that it's not uncommon to feel quite uncomfortable talking to an outsider about such personal information, and even though I can't predict exactly how you're going to feel and how things will go for you today, I do know that in the past a lot of other people have actually felt quite uncomfortable to begin with, but as they've been able to talk and get things off their chest, they actually feel quite relieved. So you might find that as we spend more time together, that you're more comfortable in this environment too.
Well, I hope it works out that way.
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
Well, there was a friend of mine who'd been involved in it.
So you notice how she dealt with it? She did an amazing job, like kind of not brushing, not dismissing his concern. So he's basically concerned about just being here, right? So this defies the whole purpose. But what is she doing? She's normalizing. It's not uncommon. This is normalizing what is happening. She's validating the find, yes, and she's expressing. This is kind of an indirect empathy as well. Yes, it's not uncommon for people to stay here and kind of not feel comfortable, but she talks about her experience in a very gentle way.
Counselling previously suggested that this is what I should attempt to do anyway.
Right. Okay. And you were saying before as well that normally you like to solve things yourself and work things out yourself, and I think it's quite a balanced perspective to be looking at how you're going to resolve things yourself, and also to get an outside perspective as well. So,
what is she doing here? She's remembering what he just said a minute ago. Oh, you said that you would like to do this, and and then what is he doing? He's seeking counseling. So what is she doing? She's saying this is a wise step to balance both, right? So she is acknowledging, she's encouraging the step that he is making. She's validating, of course, I'm not going to take away from you the ability to solve the problems by yourself. And it's wise to do both. I'm not taking it away, I'm just going to be sharing, and you decide. Yes?
No, I was just going to say it's almost like she's protecting his ego. Like she's, she's saying like,
yes.
You're smart for getting another perspective on.
Do you think youth do need to hear this statement? Absolutely, yeah.
I can see lots of benefit that can come from that dual approach.
Well, I haven't succeeded in doing it by myself, so
yeah,
it's worth a go.
Yeah, so perhaps we can shed some light on some helpful approaches for you. Yeah. Okay. I guess to help me understand your situation, it'd be helpful if you could talk a little bit about what's been going on for you and what's brought you along.
Well, I suppose things have just deteriorated in my relationship with my wife, Angelina. We've been married 11 years now. We've got 2 kiddies, Johnny's 9 and Jackie is 7.
Right.
And she's very busy in her job, and she's always been I suppose a bit of a control freak. She likes things to be just so. And occasionally she would, what I would call it, lose the plot, and she'd yell at me and abuse me, but in the past that was never a problem because we could sit down and talk about it, and she'd recognise that she'd probably gone over the top and whatever. But lately it's really just gotten out of hand, and she's not controlling her anger, her temper, and it really concerns me now because I think it's starting to affect the kids.
Right, okay. So it sounds like to begin with she might often become quite angry, but she would settle down and you could resolve things, but of late it's become a lot more volatile, and she's become more explosive, and you're really concerned about the impact on yourself and the children.
Yeah, I mean the kids are young, and I mean John, he's a boy and he seems to be handling things okay. But you're always uncertain as to really how that's affecting him. Jackie's only 7, as I said, and she's a lot more sensitive. She's not really handling things too well at all. And that's really starting to put a lot of extra concern to me.
Yeah, okay. So it sounds like you've got a lot of concerns about both the kids, and John's probably handling it okay outwardly, even though obviously he's feeling it. But Jackie, you're particularly concerned about because she's quite delicate, and you're worried about that impact. And all of you are walking around on eggshells at the moment, just waiting for some kind of explosion to happen. So,
did she add something extra or more than what he just said? What did she add? Walking on eggshells. So this is kind of an analogy. So it's a kind of expressive empathy situation, like kind of describing the situation with a metaphor. And of course, and you notice how she always says, "It seems to me. It seems to me." So this is a tentative expression that gives the other person a space to correct if he or she wants to correct. And then she adds something, and then she's waiting his yes or no kind of approval. Does this fit the description or not, or the situation or not?
Sound right?
Well, I'm concerned about the kids, but I'm concerned about the marriage. It's important to me to do what you can to keep things together, because that's better for the kids. But if I had to single out one major concern, it would be probably for Jackie.
Okay.
Because there's been a few incidents lately where the kids have been exposed in the full glory of this sort of volatile, angry behaviour, and that's really starting to worry me a lot.
Right, okay, yeah. I guess I'm very impressed to see how much you're obviously devoted to the children, and you're certainly putting their welfare first, and you want to make sure that they're in a stable environment so that they're okay, and I think obviously that's a credit to you as a father that they've got you available.
Those kids just been everything.
What just happened?
They're just
why do you think it started to open up?
She's encouraging him. She gets like positive attitudes from him.
Very good. So it seems you're concerned. I'm really impressed with your ability to care. You would like to care. I'm impressed about your concern to care about. She's really encouraging him, and then this is when he started to be more open. So now you can see that he is more relaxed and he's more open, and this is amazing. So this shows that at the beginning, of course, people are really kind of on the defense. They're not comfortable, but after a while, after some time using, what did she do? What skills has she been doing? One, paraphrasing, active listening, empathy. What's the first skill we learned about? Attending. Is she attending? Absolutely, yes. Nodding, encouraging, yes, she's eye contact, square, sitting in front of him. She's more or less sitting the same way he was sitting even, right? So attending and really paraphrasing, active listening. She is encouraging him. She's giving him some positive encouragement, reinforces, and then when he starts to, so this is, what does this help? Like the encouragers. the encouraging him and looking to the positive regards in him. To take away.
I don't know about taking away.
Build trust and safety. What is the safe thing? He can share. No judgment. No judgment. Usually what takes away safety is judgment and being critical. But she's expressing, I see good things in you. I see what you're trying to do. So this is taking away from the judgmental attitude. There is acceptance and he's able to open up.
They're just able.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And it's really clear when you talk about them, your face lights up, so they're obviously very special and very important. Yeah, okay. All right. Just in terms of helping me to understand exactly what's going on between yourself and Angelina that's causing you such distress, would you be able to give me perhaps a recent example of a time where you did have some conflict and talk about what happened?
What is she doing? Open-ended question. And she's taking it back to the original concern, problem. He's having stress in his home. So to understand this, she's asking for example. Why example is important? Something concrete. Concrete example, so that she would see an interaction or something, a behavior. Right?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, she'd been very busy, so just to make things easier for her, I went out of my way and on the way home from work and picked up a dry cleaning. And I got home probably half an hour later than what I normally would. And she didn't ask me why I was late or whatever, she just went into a tirade of abuse.
Right.
And wouldn't listen to any comments or observations I had to make about it. And probably the worst part for me was that both the kiddies were there.
Yeah.
And you could see, particularly for young Jackie, the impact it was having on her. And it just really just broke my heart.
Okay. So that sounds like it was very upsetting for you to be involved in that.
Oh, it was extremely upsetting because nothing I said or did was going to ease the situation.
Empathy sounds like upsetting.
It just went on until she burned out of the anger.
Okay, right. Yeah. And what actually happened after she did burn out? What happened with the kids in terms of helping to resolve
the kids were very restless that night.
Open-ended question, what happened next?
Yeah.
They were a bit shocked and surprised. These things have been going on for a while, but this was the first time the kids had actually been fully exposed to the, I suppose, the full spectrum of the abuse and the ranting and raving, and just the volatile nature of it. Really quite hostile.
Okay, so that was a specifically bad incident. Yeah. And how often does this tend to happen?
It's episodic. It's always there underneath the...
So what is she assessing? Frequency, and the frequency assesses? Severity, intensity of the situation.
Sometimes it might be every day. Sometimes it might be once a week, once a fortnight. That's because there's no rhyme or reason to things. That's actually adding to the difficulty because I find it starting to affect my work, and I think myself and the kids are starting to walk on eggshells a little bit.
Right. Okay.
That's a very unhealthy environment for the children.
So it's affecting the children, but it's spilled over into your work environment as well, and you're feeling uncomfortable when you're at work. Is that right?
I find myself sometimes not focusing on my work and thinking about how can I fix things up at home so that Angelina's more settled, there's more peaceful, harmonious life that we used to have. The kids' lives are not so disrupted. They're not exposed to this intense and negative emotion.
Right, okay. So it sounds like, Max, for you it's a very constant and unrelenting distress. It's at home, it's at work, and you're feeling it.
It's starting to be non-stop in terms of my thinking.
Okay.
I think about it at work, I think about it at home.
Yeah.
Walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
When Angelina goes to sleep, I'll stay awake thinking in terms of what I might be able to do.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I just think I'd like some peace, and I'd like some peace for the kiddies, particularly young Jackie, because I think she's really feeling it. And I wonder whether maybe I should just leave, so at least the kids can have some peace, because if I'm not there, maybe Angelina won't have target. That's a big step, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big step to take, to think of leaving.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I've never just...
Did you notice that there was silence? Was she comfortable with silence? Yes. And what did she do? Yes. So it seems that he was kind of getting emotional. So she gave him space. It's okay. She gave him space. She was quiet. Gave him space to kind of get things together for himself, and then she would continue to interact with him. Sometimes, after a while, after getting used being really connected with Alliance, it's okay to ask what's happening, how are you feeling? But this is too early. This is just the first session, so it's too early to go deeper. So she is not really intruding into his.
Touch with everybody. But hearing myself say that leaving the relationship would be a possible solution is it's a bit threatening to the whole stability of the kids, because I think it's important to do whatever you can to keep the relationship going, and ultimately if we can work at resolving these issues, then the kids will be a whole lot better off.
Yeah.
It's part of a family group. Me taking off and having to battle through explaining them to the kids later on, have a fractured lifestyle.
Right. Okay, Max, if I could just summarise what we've talked about so far. You explained to me that you've become very frustrated and tired and I think worn out with a lot of the anger and a lot of the volatility in the relationship that you have with Angelina, and you're very worried about the impact on both Jackie and John, and you've been so worried in fact that you've considered leaving, but it's also occurred to you that that's a major step to take, and it's one that you would prefer not to do, and that makes you think that you want to even work harder to actually restore things between yourself and Angelina and work things through so that you can actually be more harmonious and live together in peace as a family. Would that cover it for you?
Yeah, that summarises pretty accurately where we're at the moment. That would be my strong preference.
Right.
Walking out would be a cop out.
Yeah.
I'd probably handle it, but that'd be so difficult for the kids.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess this might be as good a time as any just to draw things together and perhaps finish for now, and perhaps if you wanted to work with me on this, I'd be very happy to support you in whatever it is that you'd like to do in the future in your relationship with Angelina and restoring the family to what it once was and moving forward.
I'd be really happy to do that, because I think a lot of things have been clarified for me. I've got a better perspective.
This is very important. If we can reach this stage or step, this is amazing. Did they go into problem solving? No. But did he get anything out of this time? Yes. So this is kind of the initial step, and this is what we need, in my opinion, what we need to do more with the youth before jumping into solving. So she's just getting to understand. So she used at least 15-16 minutes to understand what is the problem without jumping or asking any question about or trying to think about solutions or options or anything. Just reflecting back, just paraphrasing, reflecting back, and he would approve and continue or approve or fix. She asked questions, so are you considering leaving? No, not really, but this is one of the thoughts that came to my mind. So she did not jump on the train that he is leaving the marriage or the relationship. So I hope this has been helpful for you, that of course it's not easy to stay, not solve the problem, but to stay with it and just kind of reach a better understanding. Hopefully this would help us in communicating and dealing with the youth. And again, sorry to keep you over time. I said if I let you go, probably no one would watch this. So I said, let me keep you a few more minutes and watch it. So you may let go, you may go. Glory be to God forever and ever. So we'll have a full day, April 6th. And this will be an opportunity maybe to see 2 cases and also to do the role play. So we're going to be split into groups of 3, and this is where we're going to be doing these